everyone. So I want to take a quick minute here to talk about the idea of control. Now, control is something that when you're operating out of self-image, you need control, or at least you need the feeling that you're in control. Because of course your self-image always needs to be maintained, it always needs to be defended and propped up and further defined so that way it has greater worth and value, and that reflects on your ability to be happy and fulfilled. So if you don't feel like you're in control, well then your self-image is automatically in danger, and so you start to feel anxious and you start to feel worried and you start to feel sad, and the farther that goes, the worse it gets. And the problem isn't necessarily that you don't have control. The problem is that you believe that you should have control over something that is ultimately not going to pay off in the way you think it is. So what I mean by that is, if you believe that you're a self-image, you must feel like you have control over that self-image. But when you have control, or when you're exercising your wanting to have control, then what happens is you disconnect from reality. You actually start developing tunnel vision, so that everything comes down to whether or not it validates your sense of control. And this is control over relationships, over people, over situations, over what you deem to be the future that's just down the road. And unfortunately, you never actually have that control. Anything can happen all the time. And when life all of a sudden comes over and it contradicts our idea that we are in control, well, all of a sudden, again, we're in that state of anxiety, we're in that state of panic, because our self-image is dependent on our idea that we're in control. So control will often make us feel like we have more influence over our life, but what it actually does is it separates us from really what's going on. Everything becomes selectively looked at, in that if it doesn't give us the feeling of control, we don't want to pay attention to it. If it does validate our sense of control, well then we prop it up as something that's a priority and important. And so we lose all focus on what's actually happening in our lives. We actually miss opportunities, because all of that energy and all of that attention goes into maintaining that sense of control, rather than actually paying attention to what's going on. And when you're paying attention to what's going on, that's when you actually have greater influence. So a good example is in Wing Chun Kung Fu, which is something that I learned and I teach. The entire concept behind it is that you are never in control, and that if you're relying on memory or self-image, if you're trying to prop yourself up like, yeah, I'm dangerous, then you're actually going to lose an element of attention and sensitivity that you would need to better be equipped in a fighting situation. And the same is true in life, in that the more we're trying to prop ourselves up, the more we're living in our head. And the more we're living in our head, the less we notice of what's actually going on. The more we separate from the people that are around us, or the people that we're working with. And it's because, again, we just want to feel like we're in control. Whereas if you surrender control, then you free up attention, you free up energy, and you actually start to develop a certain sense of influence. Not control, but influence, in that you become aware of the ripples that you create and the potential ripples that they're going to bring back to you. And so all of a sudden you start to listen to people. You're not just trying to get into a conversation to validate your sense of control. You're listening to what they're saying. You're not trying to validate yourself. You're actually listening to where they're coming from. And in listening to where they're coming from, you will be presented with more insights and more opportunities that you would have missed entirely just by trying to feel like you're in control all the time. So the point of this video is very much that self-image and control, they go hand in hand, but both of them are myths. They do not give you what they promise to give you. In fact, they do the exact opposite. So in abandoning the idea that they will have a payoff, you will actually get the payoff. You will actually start to have more awareness, attention, and influence over your life when you stop trying so hard to have that attention and influence and control. And it's simply because, again, influence is found in reality. Control is a myth, and it exists only in conceptual reality. It may make you feel better inside your head, but it's not actually going to make anything better in your life. So that's my thoughts on control. If you have any questions or comments, just leave them below, and as always, I will make another video soon. Thanks so much, guys. Have a good day.